Hi, everyone. My name is Chris, and tonight I'm going to be interviewing Mitchell for the position of Internal Vice President for the Gulf Coast UVSA. He is a graduate of LSU and has been an active member with the VSA and UNASFA. His previous titles include PR Officer and Senior Advisor for VSA LSU, Secretary for the Asian American Student Intercollegiate Association, Marketing Director and Counselor for Camp Delta, Registration Committee for UNASFA, and currently he is UNASFA's Marketing Director and Camp Delta's Hospitality Director. You have absolutely found ways to keep yourself busy. Welcome, Mr. Mitchell.
Hey.
All right, starting off, as you know, a term for our Gulf Coast UVSA position is 2 years. If you win your nomination, what do you hope to accomplish in your 2 years?
First off, I feel like in the past couple years, like we're a brand new organization and we're only 2 years old. So I feel like most of our region still doesn't know too much about us or feel like they don't really, I guess, trust us too much or like, I guess, how would you say, they don't feel like they need us. And my goal with being on e-board is to get them interested, get them wanting to participate, getting them to share their stories and their VSA, and try to get them to be interactive within the region and not just with their own VSA. Some really big things like that I like. And the main reasons I joined VSA was because of culture and how we do community service. And that's two big things I really want to concentrate on if I get on eBoard also. I would really like to have one big giant whole region get together and do a big like community service, like even if it's like Habitats for Humanities and gathering like 30 people together to build a house, or concentrating on something more on the Vietnamese side, as in like getting a booth at one of the Thet fairs and raising money for CPP, not just with date auction for Louisiana schools, but for all schools together to do something. And also like make our event that we already had this past year, the Thet event, even bigger, and get the community involved, just not besides the schools.
All right, those are some great goals. Let me describe some of your strengths and weaknesses for the position you've applied for.
Like I said in my application, my biggest strengths are usually related to public relations and marketing, and that's what I've been doing for like the past 4 years. And this is the time where I wanted to like step outside of that zone and do something that's more challenging and not something I'm comfortable with. So I feel like I have other strengths that definitely fit this position. So I've been director multiple times for different organizations for UNASA and Camp Delta, and I feel like I have strengths working with committees. And being internal vice president, you basically are the chair of the ICC, and you have to communicate with the other externals from every single school. And I feel like with my past experience working with other committees, I can definitely lead and charge that, manage them. I feel like I'm really good with managing people, assigning roles, assigning tasks, and definitely communicating with those people. I feel like as IVP, you kind of have to get the externals to trust you and to confide in you. And I feel like I'm approachable, where they can want to talk to me, want to tell me about how their VSA is doing, and how I can like, hopefully they'll like listen to my advice, because I don't know, like I'm approachable. But basically, I guess, did you say weaknesses too, or just strengths?
Well, yes. Do you have? I mean, those are plenty of strengths, and it seems like you have the passion, dedication, that what it takes. Do you have any weaknesses that you might be bringing with you?
I guess my biggest weakness would be trying to do too much. I feel like as director positions, I sometimes try to put all the load on myself and try to do things just by myself. A Camp Delta reference, I'm definitely a Northern leader. I like to take charge and do things myself instead of trying to like sometimes depend on my committee because I feel like I can do it better. So I'm not saying that is the case all the time. I just feel like it saves time instead of like, hey, can you do this when I can do it myself? And I feel like sometimes I am overwhelmed with everything. And that's when I do reach out to committees. But that's something I definitely am working on, trying to give out more tasks and more roles to the committee members so I don't have too much on my hand.
Well, that's actually a great point to make. With being a part of an e-board, that you will be given tasks that sometimes are a little bit too large for one person to take care of, no matter how good or great you are. In that case, delegation is key. What experiences do you have with delegation? And I know that it's something that you're learning to grow and kind of fix within yourself. But do you think that you'll have, many more problems being able to delegate while you're on UVSA's e-board?
Definitely something I will definitely work on. So I can't say I won't have any problems, but it's something I've been working on for a little while now. I had director positions for the past year and a half. Like currently I'm in a director position and I'm continuously learning from all the past experience I had. And I'm trying to make changes and get criticism to see how I can do better and what I can change to. And one of the biggest things was you don't delegate as often. And that's something I definitely want to do more of, because especially if I'm an IVP, I would have to talk to the other externals and delegate tasks for them to do for their own BSAs. So it's something I'm working on. And I feel like I'm doing much better than the past. So
All right. Well, what has led to your desire to run for internal vice president?
So during my application, I said VSA has given so much to me, and I feel like when I say that, first off, some of my best friends I met through VSA. It's crazy to say, but like being on e-board my very first year, that was my first leadership position, and three of those people I was on e-board with are my best friends. And then I met other really, really good friends and best friends through Camp Delta, and I feel like um, first off, I made connections. And another thing that VSA has given me is like experience with, I guess, like embracing my culture. Because I don't know if you know this about me, but before coming to like LSU and joining VSA, I was like, I would, I don't like to say this, but I'm like, I don't like to call it this way, but people used to call me like a whitewashed Asian. They always said that term, and they basically said like I only hung out with like Americans. I never hung out with Vietnamese Americans. And I feel like through VSA, I kind of embraced my culture. My parents are super happy that I'm talking to other Vietnamese kids. And I feel like even then, like I got to do other things I love, like how I said earlier was like community service and philanthropy. Like those things are like big passions of mine. And that's the reasons why I love VSA. And that's why I want to join eBoard, because I want to make sure that every other person in a VSA or the members are trying, like, could possibly get the same experience or get as much out of being a VSA member or a VSA eBoard member. And hopefully they can make those connections. Hopefully they can make an impact, like, hopefully like I did to my VSA. So that's the biggest reason I want to join eBoard.
I think that's actually really great motivations, wanting to give back, especially, going from where you were to where you are now, and also meeting your best friends, being a part of these associations. And I think that's one of the biggest rewards for being a part of it. So I think those are great motivations. Being a part of Gulf Coast UVSA eBoard, you'll hear criticism directed at you or maybe even at your board. How would you handle such criticism?
Criticism is kind of like tough, I guess. It's really, at first when you hear it, you're like, oh no, like we were hoping we did well, but it's good things to hear. It's things that you should hear and embrace and try to improve on. So like like I said earlier, like my delegation problems, it's something like whenever my committee gave feedback, at first I was like, oh man, I'm not doing a good job. But later on, I realized I might be actually doing decent, but this is something they pointed out that I need to work on. And I feel like as UVSA e-board, you're always going to get criticism, but it's okay because you're not going to do everything perfect. It's always a learning experience. You can always learn from every mistake you made and continuously try to do better to not make those mistakes again. And hopefully, maybe in the future, you make different mistakes. So those are things that you can learn on too and continuously try to make better. And I think being an e-board member, you just learn that it's just lessons. Like in the beginning, hopefully our first year we run smoothly. And if we do run into like criticism or like make mistakes, the next year around we can perfect it or make it even better. That's why I think it's a good thing we have a 2-year term.
Well, those are actually really good points. You're right. Criticism is not always a bad thing. Do you have any closing words for your constituency?
Oh man, I guess all I can really say is please vote for me for the internal vice president position. Like I said, I'm very passionate, I'm driven. I definitely want to make a change for our UVSA Gulf Coast region. I want, like, in the UNASA world, I feel like UVSA Gulf Coast is so new, and I want us to make a impact not only in the UNASA scene, but also in our own region, making changes, making improvements on ourselves. And hopefully this year will be a really good year with the new UVSA Gulf Coast e-board.
Very well said, Mitchell. Thank you so much for taking the time out, right, and answering a few questions for us. And for all of you watching, thank you. And this is Chris saying have a good day and have a great night. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.